Okay, so we're going to start the meeting now. Begin with the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This is hopefully our last meeting. Okay. Assuming we vote to approve the final report today, the next time we will see each other would be at the Board of Selectmen meeting when they discuss us if we choose to go. But I think this is our last meeting. We'll start with public audience, and if you could, you don't even have to raise a hand, Joan. I know.
I want you to know who I am.
Joan, you're ingrained in my memory. Okay. Please limit your remarks to 5 minutes. And Ms. Coe, first hand up.
Joan Coe, 26 Whitcomb Drive. Now that we're in the final stretch of developing a charter with the town managers, the Charter Revision Commission should not skew the document so that it will fail. The dialogue of some of the members of this commission was disconcerting. Melissa Osborne attended most of the meetings, and as an attorney, she should have known what she was voting for. Since she was one of the members who was vehemently opposed to a town manager, she is trying to make a last-minute attempt to change the minds of the majority who voted for a town manager. Chairman Hadley Rose is one of the minority votes and is against town manager form of government. Hadley Rose does not have to accept my comments about First Selectman Lisa Heavner being a prime example of a soccer mom with no experience or training in public policy. I stand behind my comments, and Hadley Rose can continue to disagree. I take exception to Paul Hinault's comments about the credentials of the Republican candidate for First Selectman in the 2015 election. The candidate lived in town for about a year, joined the Navy from high school, took several courses in public administration, did not find time to vote for the town budget, and was placed as a candidate for a political position. This candidate that Paul Hinault has championed as a stellar candidate is laughable, and another reason for having a town manager. I challenge the insertion of a paid position for First Selectman. Canton has a population of 10,345, and Simsbury has a population of 23,975. Simsbury is a larger, more diverse population than Canton, so why use Canton as an example for a paid political First Selectman? This charter reflects the professional town manager as the CEO for Simsbury, not a hybrid like Canton. Most residents in Simsbury are concerned about the costs of managing the government. By placing the salary for First Selectman in a political position with no authority goes against the long history of Simsbury having a paid selectman as the CEO and having all the selectmen and deputy First Selectmen unpaid. Residents from both parties volunteered to serve in an unpaid position on the Board of Selectmen. First Selectman Lisa Heavner served on the Board of Selectmen for years without a salary. Then she became an unpaid deputy First Selectman. After another election, a Republican won the unpaid position of deputy First Selectman, and Lisa Heavner served as an unpaid selectman. After the Glassman debacle and her resignation as First Selectman, Lisa Heavner was appointed as First Selectman in a paid position as the CEO. Presently, Chris Kelly is in the unpaid position of Deputy First Selectman. The scenario I provided shows the people will serve in the community in an unpaid position. Placing a salary for First Selectman in this charter could be a deal breaker, since salaries are a prime concern for residents. Avon, Farmington, and West Hartford have a town manager, and the chairman of the council is unpaid, and people come forward for that position. I urge this commission to remove a salary for the First Selectman position and continue in the long-standing position that members of the Board of Selectmen are unpaid. The town manager's salary will be decided under contract according to ability, education, and experience. The salary of the town manager will probably not increase the overhead expenses in the selectman's office, and the town will be professionally managed with much lower risks to the taxpayers. It appears that the commissioners who voted against the town manager for Simsbury are trying to place conditions that are unsustainable and could be a deal breaker for a town manager. I would urge the commissioner who voted for a town manager the commissioners who voted for a town manager by 7-4 majority to stand their ground and remove the deal breaker with a paid position under political first selectman in the charter. And all of my comments will be posted on Simsbury Patch, Twitter at Joan Coe, newsfeed on Facebook, and Simsbury Forum Topics. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Cohen. Ms. Kalishman, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rose. I appreciate your kindness over the hearings, even though they are lengthy, and not in substance, but in longevity. And I'll proceed with my remark. I'd like to comment on the attack that was made on the Republican first selectman who ran in the last selectman election for first selectman. The attack that was placed upon him previous by Mr. Frankel or Franklin was a political attack. Why was it political? Mr. Franklin's wife is the treasurer of the Republican Town Committee. Mr. Franklin...
The Democratic Town Committee.
Democratic Town Committee. Mr. Franklin is a candidate. He's on the Board of Education. He's a candidate from the Democratic Town Committee. He's a Democratic representative. He had a dog in the fight. And you know, it seems every time around election time, the attack dogs come out. And I remember back a few elections, Needleman was the big attack dog with the letters about the Working Family Party. Linda Schofield had gone out and collected funds, and when the Working Man's Party, when that lady went out to collect funds, the same way Linda had done, there was a letter written to the current how the candidate, who happened to be a working person's party, how she was wrong in doing what she was doing. She wasn't entitled to doing. And then again, it goes right back to the good old boys, the good old boy system. Now, we're back once again, the self-serving good old boy system. Whether it's a gal or a girl, and I retort to gal, whether it's a lady or a man, it's the same thing, self-serving. I sat through the last meeting, and it was decided, from the way one of your members spoke, who's not here this evening, was that the pay for the first selectman was already discussed and voted on. And then all of a sudden, here again, it's by a person that comes late. Miss Osborne comes late to the meeting and all of a sudden raises the issue. Does Miss Osborne have a dog in the fight? Yes, she does. She was a candidate for senator, state senator. And she has a good reputation, and she may have a good political future. And who's to say that next term around she could be running for first selectman? And now she's paved the way. So if she does run, and we do get a manager, town manager, that the town selectman, and if she's elected, she would get paid. You can't do both. You had the best mayor, the best system, manager form of government from West Hartford. They came and they testified in front of you. Mr. Skefka, who's the mayor, doesn't collect one nickel. He does it out of, from here, from the heart. He doesn't collect a nickel for it. The manager is paid, and he's paid a good salary. So by you setting the stage, that's all you're doing is reinforce
reinforcing a fellow like myself that during the election to go around and knock on doors and say, do you know that Charter Revision Committee that they appointed from the Democrats and the Republicans? They voted to raise your taxes. How are they going to raise your taxes? They now are going to pay the first selectman a salary, and they're going to pay the town manager a salary. It's going to cost us more money for government. And that seems to be the model for Simsbury. Everybody in this town seems that they're entitled.
Mr.
Right?
Kalishman, I'm going to ask
I'm
you
going to
begin
conclude,
wrap up.
right?
Thank you.
They seem to be entitled. From the cradle to the grave, they're entitled that the town has to provide work for them, i.e. Tom Vincent gets out as first selectman. He's now running the performing arts. I.e. Mr. Hampton never had a job in his life, a real job. He's now running for state representative, and on public money, I might add. Thank you for the allotted time.
Thank you, Mr. Kalishman. Any other members of the public who would like to speak? Seeing none, action items, review of the minutes. Does anybody have any corrections or additions to the meeting of May the 5th?
I do. I have one correction. While I did arrive late due to my own
This is
professional...
for the July, sorry.
Oh, which one are we doing?
If you have these, I apologize, these were not in the original pack.
I'm talking about the minutes from our last meeting on July 25th. Which ones are we addressing?
No, this is May 5th.
Oh,
We're talking about May 5th.
And that's that one.
okay.
Okay.
We'll get back to that.
Yes, we will.
Okay.
Right.
5 is...
Thanks.
11.
Okay, thank you. And if you need a moment to skim it again, just to refresh yourselves, feel free.
Do you want to take them individually or as a group?
No, let's take them individually. Yeah, that should be pretty brief each
Didn't the
one.
May 5th, is the reason it's in front of us because there was some changes to that?
No, those have never been voted.
They weren't,
No.
voted? It was another set?
Yeah.
All right, Hadley, just
Yeah,
give
no,
us
take
a
couple
minute to
minutes
look at them, will you?
refresh. Yeah, definitely.
Why isn't this information sent to you people early?
I couldn't tell you. I think it was going to, and then people were on
Really
vacation.
have shot.
I know.
You're
That's
going to
okay.
make a decision 2 minutes before when you could have had the
When-
information a week ago.
Can I ask
I
a,
understood, but we're reviewing the minutes now, so that's okay.
can I ask a
Yeah.
procedural question
Sure.
on the joint
We did have these
On the
before, by the way.
joint
We did get,
meeting with the
we
Board
did
of
get it all before
Selectmen?
electronically. It's just the
It's
minutes
not
he's talking about.
solely a charter revision commission meeting. Can we vote on
It
this?
was also, yeah, it was also our meeting
I
technically.
think the only thing, Jeff, in answer to that is if you have, it was noticed for this board as well. So if you see any material in here that you disagree with that pertains to the business you had with them, that would be.
Okay, yeah, no, just wanted
Yeah.
to raise it. Okay.
Yeah. Just let me know when you're done, and we can move on.
think we're good.
Guys? We good? Ed, Jim, we good? We good to go on? Yeah, okay. Are there any corrections or additions on, I just lost it, May 5th? Okay, accepted without objection. Any corrections or additions on July the 11th? No? Okay, accepted unanimously. And same question on July 25th?
Yes. I did arrive late, but I arrived at 6:17 p.m., not 7:47 p.m.
Okay. Any other?
I just need to abstain from this one since I wasn't there.
Okay. And I'll try to go to time because I didn't clock you in, frankly. I don't think.
Earlier.
Yeah, probably. You're probably
that
here
way.
almost in time. Okay, so accepted with that correction, with that objection? Okay, good. So the minutes are all accepted. Okay, we are now moving on to the final actions on the proposed revised charter and final report. What I'd like to clarify is two things, first of all. If we vote to approve the report, what you're voting for is to basically approve that the report reflects what we did within that committee and the decisions that were made within that committee. It does not necessarily mean that you agreed with every decision that was made, but you're agreeing with the report that it's accurate. Okay, and that's a big distinction. Okay. The second thing is, and I had mentioned this in either the first or second meeting, I believe, if anybody has a strong bias against any of the conclusions of the report, they are entitled to submit a minority report reflecting that feeling, and they can submit that. It'll go through me, but then I will submit it to the Board of Select Persons. That could be as an individual, it could be as a group. That minority report does not have to be approved by the entire committee because it's a minority report. So that option is if anybody chooses to use it. That all being said, let's move on to the final report. Now, you've all had a chance to review it. And the question is, are there any concerns with the way it's written? Anything with the verbiage? Any mistakes anybody found?
On the
Melissa, please.
on page number 3, under introduction and summary of proposed changes, under A sub 2, it says that the elimination of the Human Relations Commission and the charter provisions governing the Economic Development Commissions. I don't think that we eliminated charter provisions governing the Economic Development Commissions. I think that we changed, we altered, we amended.
I
think it's the elimination of the HRC charter provisions and the amendment of the provisions governing the Economic Development
What we
Commission.
did was we suggested them forming a separate committee for that,
Right.
but subject to making sure it didn't violate any of the charter provisions.
Right. I think that amendment would be an appropriate word there.
Okay, Bob, you want to just log in on this one? See what-
Got it?
Okay, does everybody agree with that? Make that little change?
sure. Yep.
Okay, fine. Bob, you'll make that. Any other, did you have any, you turned around, I thought you were going to say something.
No.
Okay, okay, good. Keep it that way.
Page 4, do we need to add tonight's meeting?
Excuse me?
Page 4, do we need to add tonight's meeting? Since technically it's one more meeting.
Do that.
That would make us a year-long commission, so.
Yowza.
And we've just about made it. Believe it or not, we have just about made it. We started last August. Okay, Tom, can you add this, you'll add this meeting to the final report to reflect that? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll add that. No objection to that, I assume? Anything else that anybody has noticed while reading over everything? Do we then,
I mean, it's pretty close to, what the last draft
Right.
was, except for the changes that we had made.
Heather, could I?
Can I just ask one question? We're going to vote on this, but are we going to talk about the revised charter as well on it?
I don't
In the
know.
revisions? Because I just have one comment.
Okay.
And that was, in reviewing this, and I remember early on, we asked for a table of contents.
We have that.
You do have that? Okay. All right, because I wanted to make that clear, because when, people are looking at it, it's always better to have it. We just didn't have it in what we got the other day. Okay. Thank you.
It's actually a third document that prepared some time ago.
I do remember that, but I didn't see it in, what was given to us. Okay.
And we
All
will
right.
update it and file it with the town clerk's office, because by adding back economic development, it changes the numbering of all the appointed boards and commissions. We'll have to change that.
Okay. All right, thanks, Bob.
If I could just offer by way of clarification, it has been suggested that I kind of snuck in late and pulled off some sort of coup d'etat by getting a stipend for the first selectman inserted into this charter. And I wanted to clarify what really happened, and that is that we already had in our prior meetings and in the report that was actually issued to the Board of Selectmen, we had already recommended that there be a stipend allotted to the first selectman in the amount of 15% of the town manager's salary. We then revisited that at the request of the Board of Selectmen because it would have created a conflict of interest for the first selectman to vote on the town manager's salary if her stipend was tied to a certain percentage of the salary of the town manager on which she was voting. We all agreed at the meeting with the Board of Selectmen that that was an accurate concern on their part. So,
Mr. Chairman?
Excuse me. So what happened on the last meeting was that we further discussed this concern about a possible conflict of interest for the first selectman, and we agreed that the stipend of 15% was the correct guideline, and we voted on keeping a stipend that was approximately 15% of what we, in our best educated guess, thought the town manager's salary would be. And the number of $22,500 is in fact 15% of $150,000, which is in the ballpark of what we assume we're going to have to pay a qualified town manager. So while I did come late because I have professional obligations, because I am a small business owner in Connecticut and I work for myself and I get here when I get here, just like the rest of you do, and I apologize for being late, but I certainly did not want the misimpression left that I somehow came in and did something that was underhanded or that I somehow changed what had been agreed upon previously. This was a conversation I took part in, but it was not a conversation that I came up with on my own, and it didn't actually change the monetary or the fiscal impact of our initial decision to award a stipend to the first selectman.
And that's an accurate representation of what went on. This is now with the commission, it's no longer with the public.
The gentleman is not here. That
It's
refutes what she
Mr. Crouchman,
said.
you're out of order now. This is now in the hands of the
But
commission.
let's do things right.
And no.
She's not telling the
She
truth.
is, Mr. Crouchman, she is telling
got
the
it
truth.
right.
I happen to be in here, and so were a number of other members. And
He's
this is what
not
happened.
here.
That doesn't matter, frankly. Anything else
You're
by anybody?
referring to the minutes.
Anybody? We're all good? We're all good? Okay, then I'm going to ask for a vote. We're voting on accepting the report as written with the two minor changes we just made, which will then be given to me. I will then send it in to the Board of Select Persons, and at which point, we're pretty well done. Okay, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hands. Okay? No opposition, it's accept. Bob, wait, Bob, you had your hand up? Did you put your hand up?
Yes.
What? You want to, before I count the vote, what?
No, go ahead, count the
Okay. Okay, it's approved unanimously, and now you had something to say?
Yes, coming over here, the stipend increases every year by cost of living increase.
Right.
Coming over here, it occurred to me that there's a statute that says that the salary of the first selectman cannot be increased during his or her term. But I believe the statute says by act of the legislative body, as you know, a couple years ago, we looked at this in depth. And are you going to go over the charter now, or are you going to just?
We'll take a brief look at it, frankly.
Okay.
Then I'm going to return to the trenches.
I want to take a second look at that, the language of that statute. I don't think it pertains here because A, it's a stipend, B,
Not a salary.
it's in the charter, but I was more comfortable if we just I looked at that statute one last time to make sure that this COLA does not violate the technical language of that statute, that's all.
Do you need a couple minutes to do that before we look at the charter then?
Well, you go ahead and do what you're doing. Tom's looking for the letter I wrote a couple
Okay.
years ago, and that will give me the reference, and we'll just look at it. Because once you adjourn, you're done.
Right.
We can't undo that, so.
I guess the question, and you've kind of addressed it, is because it's a stipend and because it's specifically stated in the charter what that is going to be.
Yes.
That's different than somebody raising somebody's salary, you know, whether it be the Board of Finance or whoever. I think that's what it was probably used to address.
Yes,
Right.
I believe that to be true.
Okay.
I just wanted to take one last look at that statute.
Okay. Okay, now, when looking through the charter, did anybody see any verbiage that they felt was incorrect or needed to be changed at all? Are we still good with everything? I'm trying to stall for time here.
Filibuster.
Was that a motion? Did someone make a motion?
I guess I actually asked for unanimous consent, basically.
Shall I list it?
List it, you can list it as...
Or it just says a unanimous?
Let's do a unanimous consent, that's just as easy.
Thank you.
Okay, you can do that. And I'm going to keep tap dancing here for another moment or two to get your letter up here, unless somebody wants to declare a quick recess. Because I think that's the only question we have on the table now, is to make sure that that falls within the state statute.
This reflects what was sent to us online?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, we sent this
Yeah,
out.
what we're going to do is, tomorrow, we're going to take the final report that you voted on.
We go to the table so we on TV.
Sure.
We want you to have front stage.
What we'll do is tomorrow, after we vote, we will take the final report, make the 2 changes that you indicated, and we'll take the charter and we'll put the index document in front, right after the title page, and then print out the charter in a red line version and a clean version, put both versions in the town clerk's office, so that if someone were to look for it in the town clerk's office, he or she could see what changes there are. There is one thing we have to put back into the red line version, and that's the current description of the first selectman's powers and duties, which we took out and put in the town manager in exchange for that. So in the town clerk's office tomorrow, people will see the final report, August 1st, 2016, of the commission, and a red line version of the proposed revised charter, and a clean version.
Now, that'll be the red line version from the original charter, not the steps that we've taken along the way.
Yes,
Okay.
from the original charter.
Okay.
So there's been a lot of changes to it, and I don't think it would be fair to the public to let them try to find all the changes where the underlines and deletions are clearly shown on the red line version. And then it goes to the town clerk sends it to the Board of Selectmen, and the Board of Selectmen has 15 days from their receipt of it, which would be August 8th, to act on
Excuse
it.
me, I couldn't hear you. You said, I didn't hear your last sentence.
Oh, the Board of Selectmen has 15 days from their receipt of it, and they next meet on August 8th, so it'll be 15 days from August 8th.
You had a question?
That was my question.
okay.
It's 15 days from August 8th, so
Okay.
they probably won't vote on this until the 23rd.
Oh, I don't know, they could vote on it
They may
Monday
vote
night.
on
They
the
could do it
8th.
on the
They
8th.
can vote
They have to
on it
until-
on the 8th, right?
What'll happen, the town clerk will call me once everything's printed up. I have to go sign it, and then we hand it over. And then it's up to them within that 15 days. I would think probably at their meeting, but that's obviously up to them.
And for them to pass it, they need 4 of the 6 votes.
Right.
Yes, to take any action on it, they need 4 of 6 votes.
Okay, and if they don't have 6 people there, they still need 4 votes, so,
They
Yeah.
or just a majority.
Nope, it's 4 votes. If there's 5 people there, it's 4 votes. If there's 4 people there, it's 4 votes, or the full. It's a majority entire membership, which is 4. And then they will decide what to do from there. They can schedule it for, I think they have up to 16 months to schedule for referendum. But I think the intent is to put it on the November
On
ballot.
the November ballot, yeah, I would think so.
So that
Certainly
makes
get
sense.
a bigger turnout that way.
Yeah, you're going to get the biggest turnout in 4 years.
The history of charter revisions.
Maybe in the history of charter revisions. Although I think the last charter revision that made the
We were
ballot was
there.
in November.
Are we
made
voting on
history.
something in November? What?
What?
Are we good?
Remains to be seen.
I heard something about that. Yeah, there's a little chatter going on. Something on the Twitter net or something.
And when it goes to ballot, it'll be will it be each individual change that was made, or will it be kind of a package?
That's up to them. They can have one question or several questions. And they can separate it into a question in the form of government and have a question for each individual change, or lump them together if they choose to. Last time they met, I think they talked about having a separate question for each change, which it's a lot of questions.
Yeah. That's,
Would be
as
lengthy.
we talked last time, we were trying to keep it clean, as clean as we could.
Yeah. From everything I've heard, though, there is a sentiment to have the change of government, form of government question to be separate, and then maybe everything else, I don't, would be up to them.
That'd be a way to do it.
So. Any other questions?
How about them Red Sox?
They're on
Very safe thing to say.
I figured.
Yankees threw in the towel today,
Oh, didn't they?
or yesterday when they traded Miller.
We getting all these
Yeah, they
important
traded
comments
Carlos.
in?
Should we
Chapman.
take a brief
In,
recess?
Carlos
let's
Beltran went to the
take a
Rangers.
5-minute recess.
Oh, he
wait
went
for
too?
Tom to get
I didn't
back.
see
Okay,
that,
just
really?
wait
I was
a
late
minute.
today.
Take notes on this. Okay, we're taking a 5-minute recess.
I'm
so she doesn't have to
99%
make-
certain that the language that's currently in there does not violate that statute, but
It's that point one.
Yeah, why don't we take a 5-minute recess?
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, okay, we'll do
That's
that.
what we're doing. This way,
Okay.
she doesn't have to take minutes on this.